Who are you? This was the first question my teacher asked me when I stepped into the classroom on the first day of my summer course. It was entitled, Develop the Leader in You. I began to introduce myself, as any person normally would, saying things like my name, where I was from, what grade I was in. And when I finished, my teacher looked at me again and said, "But who are you?" It wasn't until weeks, maybe even months later, that I finally began to understand what he actually meant when he said this. You see, when I enrolled in this course, I immediately saw the Develop the Leader part of the title, but my eyes skimmed right over the In You part of the title. I had the notion that this course would turn me into the so-called perfect leader, because aren't great leaders what every college is looking for? So what did it really matter if I was some strong, passionate, perfect leader, as long as I could put up the facade? So I had the notion that this course could turn me into the perfect leader, but I'm here to tell you today that I was very wrong. I am a strong believer, however, that everybody has a leader in them. I believe everybody has something to offer to the world, to a group, or even to a single person, whether that be leading a huge movement like someone like MLK is your typical example, or even just being there as a shoulder to lean on for somebody. Even more important than what we do, though, is what allows us to do these things. And when I say this, what I'm talking about is our personalities, our characteristics, our unique experiences, our backgrounds, things like these that make us who we are. This is the In You part of the title that I spent 6 weeks beginning to discover in myself. And it is by far the most important part. Throughout the 6 weeks I spent in this course, I was exposed to a new aspect of education. Rather than learning hard facts like we oftentimes do in school, everything was suddenly up to interpretation. So this gave my classmates and I the opportunity to learn about something you'd be probably pretty hard-pressed to find in a textbook, ourselves. Each day we began class with a free write, usually 5-10 minutes, and how the free write worked was that there were no rules or regulations other than that we had to continue writing no matter what. So if you had nothing to say, you write, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. If you had good thoughts, you wrote them. If you had bad thoughts, you wrote them. Whatever was on your mind, you wrote. Each night, we also usually continued with a free write, typically on what that day's class discussion entailed, something like that, and my teacher always encouraged us to write good thoughts, bad thoughts, anything, no matter what, continue writing. Another thing my class did a lot of was reading. We pretty much read everything from books to commencement speeches, all different topics, pretty much everything. But my favorite part of the class was what followed the readings, our class discussions. Out of 9 students, 8 different countries were represented, so we definitely had a large variety of different perspectives and viewpoints to learn from. Though we were also different and were coming from these very diverse backgrounds, we were somehow able to find a common ground. Though we were very different and we were still able to find this common ground, something that I thought was even more special about this group was that we were able to create a space where everybody felt very, very comfortable sharing their thoughts and their ideas and their feelings, which is something you don't really recognize you've been lacking and that you've been suppressing your ideas and your thoughts until you're given the place to do so. Another thing we did a lot of in this class was look at our personalities. We did this from a million different aspects, to name some: Myers-Briggs, which was a personal favorite of mine. We looked at our family dynamics, some of the key events in our lives, a million different things. To say the least, this was a life-changing experience for me. I came home after 6 weeks with a fresh perspective on myself, on others, on the world, on life. Without actually changing anything, I suddenly felt just a little bit more confident in my own skin, which is something that doesn't come easily to me, and I'm sure many others. All I had done was make an effort to learn about something that was already within me. Some might say it was, traveling, being far away from home, or meeting new people that influenced me so deeply. I credit this, however, to the new aspect of education my teacher exposed me to. So why am I standing up here? Why am I telling you guys about my experience? Why is this relevant to you? This is because I believe incorporating self-discovery into our education has the ability to change not only my life, but the lives of all high school students. Self-love is something we're currently kind of pushed at. People are told, love yourself, accept yourself, especially young people. This can be a little bit difficult when you don't know exactly who that person is. By uncovering the unique aspects of our personalities and our lives, our characteristics, it makes it a lot easier to love and accept that person and see how amazing they are once you know that person. Almost a year later, I still see all the influences that Develop the Leader in You left on me. Personality is kind of a tricky thing. It's easy to think that it's holding you back because you're different than everybody else. Everybody else is outgoing, or everybody else is really athletic or really smart, or something like that. The truth is, you're not like everybody else. Self-discovery gives us the ability to see that all personalities have both strengths and weaknesses. With seeing these strengths and weaknesses in both our personalities and those of others, we're able to embrace diversity, not only on the level of personality, but many other levels as well. This self-discovery also makes decision-making a lot easier because we're able to see, in the long run, what's best for ourselves, what's best for our separate personalities, and how we can benefit ourselves the most in the long run. Many people, as I mentioned before, struggle to find a place of self-love and self-acceptance. And while finding this place is an endless journey, self-discovery opens up endless doors to where we can begin to start this. Ultimately, self-discovery leads to self-knowledge, and self-knowledge leads to empowerment. So why is this such a rarity? Why don't we have this in our education systems? Well, the truth is, we're trying to work towards this today. WHRHS has made this initiative by trying to impact the social and emotional wellness of their students. They have implemented wellness days, and they've implemented all these new things that are just not exactly able to reach their full potential without a permanent spot in the curriculum. I'm so happy to have been able to help create a new elective, the Emerging Self, which is my own version of Develop the Leader in You, which will be an elective at WHRHS. I hope that this elective will help to empower students through encouraging them to embrace self-knowledge. This was the leader that I found in me. And though I'm not MLK, I'm not Gandhi, this was the leader in me that I was able to find once I began to discover the characteristics in myself. Though a year later, I can finally say I have begun to understand what my teacher meant when he asked me, "Who are you?" on that first day of class. I'm only beginning to understand myself. To end, I'd like to finish with a quote from Aristotle. "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." Thank you.